That's a great hymn, isn't it? And a wonderful occasion. Words by Charles Wesley, and Wesley turns his hymn into a prayer, including the request, "Fix in us, O God, thy humble dwelling. Please God, come and live in us." And that's what he's done. That's what we remember at Pentecost. God coming to live in us through his Holy Spirit. When Jesus left, he promised that his followers would receive the gift of the Holy Spirit, which is God inside us. One reading from the Bible shows us Jesus himself giving the Holy Spirit to the disciples before his ascension. Here it is. It's taken from the Gospel of St. John at the end, chapter 20, starting at verse 19. On the evening of that first day of the week, when the disciples were together with the doors locked for fear of the Jewish leaders, Jesus came and stood among them and said, "Peace be with you." After he said this, he showed them his hands and his side. The disciples were overjoyed when they saw the Lord. Again Jesus said, "Peace be with you. As the Father has sent me, I am sending you." And with that he breathed on them and said, "Receive the Holy Spirit. If you forgive anyone's sins, their sins are forgiven. If you do not forgive them, they are not forgiven." This is the word of the Lord. Thanks be to God. So there we have Jesus on the first Easter day meeting the disciples and breathing into them his breath, and with his breath the Holy Spirit. There's a second version in Luke's account of Jesus' death and resurrection and the start of the church. It is that the Spirit was given a few days after Jesus ascended into heaven. Both may be true. The first at a time of great intimacy between Jesus and his closest followers. The second when the same followers were in a very public place and were seen by lots and lots of people. But both accounts make it plain that God comes to live in us. Yes, I know if you're like me, it doesn't feel like that most of the time. I've been trying to think how it works, and it seemed to me that one way of thinking about it is music. Most of us have tunes in us that we know deeply, which stay with us, which we begin to sing or whistle or hum when we hear a snatch of them being played. In some ways, these tunes resonate with us. They have become part of us. And perhaps that's what God has done too. Let's hear a lovely Scottish folk tune, the Sky Boat Song. And the version we're going to hear is just right for Pentecost, because the words are about the Spirit of God being with us to guide us and encourage us.